The rain fell in relentless sheets that evening, turning the city streets into slick mirrors. I was walking home after a long day, my jacket soaked and shoes squelching with every step, when I noticed her, a woman crouched beside her car, hood up, frowning at a flat tire. Her phone was dead, and the frustration on her face was palpable. Most people would have walked past, but something about her desperation pulled me in. "Need a hand?" I asked, kneeling beside her. She looked up, startled, her eyes wide and grateful. Together, we managed to change the tire. She laughed nervously, brushing wet hair from her eyes. "I was on my way to a blind date," she admitted. "I can't believe this happened." I shrugged, wiping mud from my hands. "Consider it a minor adventure." When she finally started her car and the engine roared to life, she smiled at me with something that felt deeper than gratitude. "Your reward," she said softly, leaning closer, "is a kiss. And we'll meet again." I chuckled, unsure whether she was joking, but something in her voice lingered in my mind as I walked away. As I disappeared into the rain, I realized that kindness doesn't ask for recognition. A simple act, a few moments of patience and care, can ripple far beyond what we see. That night, I didn't just fix a car, I witnessed a spark of human connection, fragile yet powerful, reminding me that even strangers can leave a lasting imprint on our hearts. The next morning, I couldn't shake the memory of her words. "We'll meet again." I told myself it was just a fleeting moment, an encounter lost to the rhythm of life. Yet later that day, my phone buzzed with a message I didn't recognize. "Thank you for yesterday. I couldn't have made it without you." "Coffee?" I stared at it, incredulous. It was from her, the woman from the rain. My heart skipped, a mixture of surprise and curiosity stirring inside me. Normally, I'd shrug off texts like this. But there was something about her honesty, her warmth, that made me respond immediately. We agreed to meet at a small cafe downtown, the kind that smelled of fresh pastries and roasted coffee beans. When I arrived, she was already there, raincoat dripping, eyes bright, scanning the crowd. I waved, and she broke into a smile that made the world feel lighter. We talked, initially about the flat tire and the chaos of that night, but soon the conversation flowed naturally, about work, dreams, and small, shared frustrations. I realized kindness wasn't just about helping someone. It was about connection, opening space for another person to feel seen. Just as the coffee cooled, she leaned forward, her voice gentle yet firm. "You have a way of making people feel like they matter. That's rare." My chest tightened. It wasn't just a compliment. It was a recognition of something I hadn't realized about myself. And in that moment, I understood that life's small gestures, holding a door, lending a hand, sharing time, can become the beginnings of something unexpected, even transformative. Days turned into a week, and our coffee meeting became the start of something I hadn't anticipated. Texts turned into calls, calls into long walks through the city, and walks into quiet dinners at little diners tucked away from the noise of life. I found myself drawn to her laughter, her gentle way of noticing details that others overlooked, the way she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, how she remembered the tiniest things I had mentioned in passing. Then, one evening, as we walked past the park where autumn leaves were drifting lazily across the path, she stopped. Her expression shifted, serious yet vulnerable. "I should tell you something," she said. Her eyes met mine, wide and sincere. "That night, it wasn't just a flat tire. I was panicked because I had an important meeting before my blind date. Everything that went wrong made me think I'd never get there on time. You made me feel safe, even for just a few minutes." I felt a warmth spread through me, a realization that our small act of kindness had mattered more than either of us imagined. And yet, just as I opened my mouth to respond, her phone rang. She glanced at it, frowning. "It's work," she murmured. "I have to go. But thank you. Truly." As she walked away, disappearing down the lamplit street, I realized life often comes with abrupt pauses, moments that test patience and courage. But even fleeting encounters can leave lasting impressions. That night, I learned that kindness doesn't just change the world, it can change people, quietly, without fanfare. And sometimes, it plants seeds that grow in ways you can't yet foresee. A few weeks later, life's rhythm pulled me back into routine. Work, errands, small obligations, it all felt heavier without her presence. Then, one chilly evening, I was walking home through the city square when I saw her. She was struggling again, this time with a broken bicycle chain, her scarf tangled in the spokes. Without thinking, I rushed over. "Need some help?" I asked. She looked up, startled, then smiled. The same smile that had stayed with me since that rainy night. As I fixed the chain, she laughed softly. "You really have a knack for appearing at the right moment," she said. But there was worry in her eyes too, a subtle edge I hadn't noticed before. I didn't want to bother you," she admitted, her voice low. "Life's been complicated." We sat on a nearby bench after the bike was repaired, and she opened up about challenges I hadn't known, family struggles, career setbacks, moments of doubt that made her question herself. I listened quietly, offering no solutions, only presence. And then, something remarkable happened. As she spoke, her tension eased, replaced by a radiant calm. It was in that moment I realized, the small acts of kindness we show to strangers aren't just fleeting gestures. They can anchor someone in their hardest moments, reminding them they're not alone. When she finally stood, brushing leaves from her coat, she looked at me with that same intensity from the night of the flat tire. "You've done more than fix cars or bikes," she said softly. "You've reminded me that goodness still exists." As she walked away into the evening lights, I knew our connection had deepened in a way either of us could have predicted, a quiet, profound proof that even the simplest acts of compassion can create ripples that reach far beyond a single moment. Weeks passed, and though life moved on with its usual pace, I couldn't shake the memory of her words, her laughter, or the quiet moments we'd shared. Then, one sunny afternoon, I found myself at the park where we had first walked together. I was sitting on a bench, watching leaves flutter in the wind, when I noticed a familiar figure approaching. It was her, smiling, confident, and undeniably radiant. She stopped in front of me, holding something in her hands, a small bouquet of wildflowers, slightly damp from the morning dew. "I thought these might brighten your day," she said, handing them over. I took them, smiling. But it wasn't just the flowers, it was the gesture, a reflection of the connection we had forged from that first act of kindness. We walked together, talking about dreams, fears, and everything in between. I realized then that kindness isn't transactional. It doesn't ask for recognition, a reward, or a promise of return. Yet, when offered sincerely, it has the power to bring people together in ways that surprise even the giver. Before we parted that evening, she looked at me with warmth and certainty. "Life is full of little miracles," she said. "Sometimes you just need someone willing to help without hesitation." I watched her walk away, the sunlight catching her hair, and understood something profound. Even the smallest gestures can leave lasting marks on hearts, change perspectives, and inspire hope. And that night, as I walked home under the soft glow of streetlights, I felt a quiet joy, the kind that comes from knowing that kindness, no matter how small, has a way of returning, often multiplied, to those brave enough to give it. In a world that often rushes past, sometimes the greatest reward is simply making life a little brighter for someone else.